Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Crystal Womack. I want to take the time to thank each and every one of you for coming back, and those of you that may be visiting for the first time. I just want to share a little about myself. My name is Crystal Womack. I'm married. I have 3 beautiful girls, and my goal here in making these channels is to be able to inspire, to encourage, to lift people that are going through some tough times and maybe not now, or have went through some tough times, and to let you know that you're not alone, that there are other people out there that are going through the same thing. And if we can kind of just encourage one another, lift one another through our life experiences, through God's word, just to, that could be the difference in somebody's life, a positive difference in someone's life. And so I'm just here to help do that. So I just wanted to thank you guys for, just visiting my channel. I just want to thank each and every subscriber. Thank you guys, because I may not have too many subscribers, but I know that if God put this in my heart, and eventually this channel, I hope, will grow, because when you guys are sharing, it helps me and it helps others. Like I said, my goal on here is not to have 1,000 subscribers, 1,000,000 subscribers, or whatever it might be. My goal is just to share God's word, share my poem, my God-inspired poems, with all used to lift you guys up. Because if it can help make the difference in just one life, 2 lives, 1,000 lives, 1,000,000 lives, it's a job well done. And that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. It's just to speak to you guys, to help encourage you guys that you're not alone. You are loved. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you are here for a reason. You have a purpose. We have a purpose. And so with that being said, I want to take the time to share with you guys. Sorry guys, if I keep looking down, it's because I've taken notes. I have prepped for this video like I do my other videos. I prep, but I also have a lot of points that I want to share with you guys today, and I want to make sure that I'm able to get to all those points. So if I keep referencing back or turning this way, it's because I'm looking at my notes. There's a lot of valuable information that I want to share with you guys today, and this is there's some of the things that I went through and some of the things that I've actually looked up. I'm going to be talking to you guys about some of the struggles that I've had in high school up until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. And one of those is an eating disorder, and another one was OCD. I struggled with both of those, and I have a poem about that I want to share with you guys. So let's get to it. Okay, guys. So this is a poem that I had written recently, this year, I believe it was, in May 24th. This year, I believe it was. Okay. This one is Memories. This one's entitled Memories. And this was kind of when I was struggling with the past. Like I know some of you are aware now that I've struggled with thoughts, like negative thoughts. And I learned to take those thoughts captive. But here is a time when, like I said, I'm not perfect. I do struggle a little bit here and now and then, but I know how to recognize the thoughts and to reject them and replace them with something that is good, a good thought. So this is a time when I was actually kind of weak. And see, this wasn't very long ago. It shows that we have our moments. We still have our moments. And even though I'm Christian, even though that, I turn to God and I pray and I worship, I still have moments. But this is something that was going through my mind, and I didn't really know of any other way to express it except through prayer and writing it down. That's something that I do best. So here we go. It's called Memories, Struggling with the Past. These demons surround my mind, start to whisper lies, entangling my thoughts with what is lost. How is this I feel so weak when it is God I seek? I ponder in my mind if this is real, or is it just another deal? God help me, I'm only me, not yet who I'm supposed to be. Through the fire, through the storm, your love is forevermore. What's now is now, what was then. A heart can mend and change within. Longing for the hope that you reassure me of, despite desperate for your love. It's the only thing that's true. You've proven this in everything that you do. Little by little, you allowed me to see that broken me. Piece by piece, he takes me and makes me into his masterpiece. You restored my life and made me new. I am forever grateful to you. In your presence, I find peace. I find everything I need. So, yeah, that was when I was kind of struggling with my thoughts. I was kind of going through maybe a difficult situation. And sometimes when I start having those, are thinking, back years ago, or, just even kind of struggling with things or a situation that might not be going well in my life. It helps me. It helps me a lot to write it down, because then as I go back and read it now, I think about how great God is, and I'm able to see just what he pulled me out of. So that was then. I also, like I said, I wanted to share with you guys some of the struggles I had in high school. Like I said, I mentioned I suffered from eating disorder and OCD. But the OCD was that I struggled with was just the way I thought, my such toxic thoughts, negative thoughts. And I'll get more into that. So the eating that I had struggled with an eating disorder, I think it started around 10th and 11th grade when I started getting into sports. I was in dance, I was in cross country, I was in track, and I don't think I ever really cared so much about my body image as much as I did when I started seeing results. Whenever I started, I started exercising and realizing, it felt good. It felt so good, to see the results physically, and just getting into shape. And even, I was starting to feel really good, and starting to lose weight and have a body image that I didn't have before. And so it was, like I said, it was really nice. And it didn't start really taking a negative effect maybe until the 11th grade, when I started seeing food as more like the enemy. I just didn't want to eat as much. I didn't want to gain weight. I started liking the way that I was, the weight that I was. And that's when my mind started twisting, and I didn't realize this was, sorry guys, this is before Christ. This is before I gave my life to Christ, before I was a Christian. So I didn't know how to control my thoughts. And even being a teenager, where hormones are here and there, and our mind is here and there, our emotions are here and there. So I just, I thought I couldn't see myself through the eyes of God. I couldn't see myself there because I wasn't there. I wasn't at that level spiritually yet. So I started eating less and less. And I ate just enough to give me energy to be able to do my dance class, to be able to run my practices, to be able to run my races. But I started noticing that, I was not right in my mind. I started getting dizzy. I started feeling like I was going to pass out, and I started getting blackness under my eyes. And I even got down to a size 0 to 1, which I thought was great. It's like, wow, I've never been able to get into this size. And I thought that was okay. Like I said, when you have a problem like that, you can't see yourself. All you see in the mirror is what more you can do, what more you can do. And so I kind of had a feeling like maybe this isn't good, but it didn't overcome the fact of what I was doing. And so I just started seeing food as like, okay, just barely enough. I'll eat like a half of a sandwich, and some chips, or I'll eat a half of this or a half of that, which is way less than the calories and the fat and than what I should have been consuming. So of course I started losing weight really fast. You couldn't really, I was one of those where you couldn't really see it on the outside unless you really, really knew me. And that's when my mom, she started noticing she's the one that started noticing some physical differences in me that didn't seem quite healthy. And so she was telling me, she was trying to get me to drink like these Ensure drinks, and those are with like vitamins and protein and fats and stuff in it. And at first I kind of refused to do that. I didn't want to do that, maybe like half a bagel or some crackers or something, and I was good. Like some carrots, I was good. I was good to go for breakfast. So I thought that was fine. I thought that was healthy. And even that Ensure drink that she wanted me to drink, I thought, well, maybe that would have too much fat in it. And I did not want to gain any fat. I was where I wanted to be, in my mind. So, and I know they would even say me like dessert. They would say me like some Oreos or some, some cookies, and they would show me them, and I'd be like, okay, I'll just save them, or I would eat like a half, and I'd be like, I'll save the rest, but I don't think I ever even really ate them. But it was really bad. And now that I look back at it, I'm just like, and then going into college, when I had taken nutrition classes, I had realized just how much I deprived myself of vitamins and nutrients and fats and calories that I should have been having, especially as an athlete. And I think sometimes as an athlete, there's a lot of pressure on people, especially to do well, to be able, as a runner, I wanted to be slim, I wanted to be fit, because I knew if I had gained more weight, in my mind it would slow me down, and I didn't need that. I was already not one of the fastest runners, probably not even close to being one of the fastest runners, but I knew that if I could if I could just like lose enough weight, maybe I would just be able to be faster, have more endurance. But really, I was not doing myself a favor by not eating. If actually, it was quite the opposite. If I probably would have been eating the way I was supposed to, I probably would have been able to have had more energy and not feel like I was going to pass out, and have all this. And then that's where my anxiety started too. But there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure, and that's why I have a daughter now who's a phenomenal athlete, and she runs cross country and track, and I try to share with her, my mistakes, so that way she won't make those same mistakes, and she's not, and I thank God, because she will not make the same mistakes that I did. And I think it's important to tell our children the mistakes that we've made, so that way they won't make the same mistakes as well, at least to make them aware of that. Because I don't wish that on anybody. And I know this may not have been to the extent. I know there's some of you that might suffer from bulimia or anorexia, and I didn't get to the point of where I didn't eat at all. I got to the point where it was just enough, to get me through. It may not have been enough food that I was supposed to have eaten in a day, but I guess it got me through. And it wasn't until I would say maybe after my senior year that I started getting back into, actually I think it was more like into college that I started, when I started taking nutrition classes, that I realized the importance of nutrition, the importance of calories, the importance that all fat is not bad, and that your body does need a certain amount of fat, and that there are different restrictions for athletes, and especially athletes need more calories. They need that energy, and I didn't realize that at the time, and I think I'm learning all this in college, and I didn't pursue sports or athletics in college. It wasn't too long after that I had my first daughter, and decided to concentrate, I needed to concentrate on her, and I got a job and doing college and job, and, raising my daughter with my now husband, I didn't have a lot of time for all that, and that's what led me, to still have this. And then after I had my daughter, I felt like I needed to go right back into my size, whatever it was, jeans, and stay fit, stay slim, to fit the perfect body or whatnot. And I was just going by the world's definition of what you were supposed to look like, or what you were supposed to, what size you were supposed to wear, and it was a difficult time. Those were not easier. I mean, I could say that high school was one of my funnest years out of all my years of school. Besides the fact of the OCD and besides the fact of the eating disorder, I mean, I was still able to manage getting really good grades, and having good friends, surrounding myself with positive people. Despite that, I still was able to function. I was still able to function and do what I needed to do. So I just want to tell you guys that. And as far as the OCD, and one more thing about the eating disorder, I don't even know what to call it, because it wasn't really anorexia to a certain extent. It wasn't bulimia, but I know I had an obsession with body image, and it definitely was a disorder. And like I said, it took a while to get out of that, but now I'm going to talk about the OCD that I was also struggling with. And this is something that I didn't realize what it even had a name, because I've been struggling with it since I was about 8 years old. And anxiety made it worse. When I started having anxiety, that made it even worse. And I learned that that's actually one of the risk factors. One of the triggers is anxiety as well, and stress. But I think a lot of it too was just being around peers, and not that I was ever pressured to do anything, but I think it's just always wanting to, kind of fit in, and to be like those that are around you. And I guess I just allowed myself to be influenced by the skinny and maybe chubby and fat, and influence that this world gives us, and it's not like that at all. God sees the heart, and unfortunately the world sees the outside. And that's what I was going by, and that's why I said, when I started coming into Christ, which I thank God I did, I started seeing myself for the way God seen me. I asked God for me to see myself the way that He sees me. And slowly, He started to open up my eyes, and I started seeing a different person in the mirror. I started seeing this beautiful person, no matter if I was, had exercised, or which became an obsession too of mine. I was used to going into this, being an athlete, into going into college and not being as athletic, and I never started noticing that my body image started changing, and that really got to me as well. Running became an obsession. I had to get in a certain amount of miles. If I didn't, I felt like I didn't succeed that day, because any kind of thing we can turn into a habit and an unhealthy obsession. But I got over that, and I think it's when I started focusing my mind on the positive things, that didn't become so important anymore. Yes. Sorry guys, just checking my notes real quick. I don't want to miss anything. I really don't. I did do my best to put a lot of good stuff in here that I know would be able to help you guys. And it looks like I got through a lot of this, but also when to mention like the eating disorder and all these habits that we have, if we don't overcome them, we take them into our relationships, we take them into our marriage, which can be very unhealthy, because I took mine into every relationship that I had, and unfortunately it was not good because I, had at that time when I had a boyfriend, if he was looking at somebody else, I kind of made myself, um, it kind of hurt me because I felt like I wasn't good enough. And why should somebody be looking at somebody else, if you're good enough, And so I felt like it just made me feel really bad because my mind was not that strong at that time. And I just felt like I wasn't good enough, if I don't get evaluated, if I'm not told, oh, you're beautiful, or you look so good, or the attention's on me, from the significant other, spouse, or my boyfriend at the time, it made me feel kind of bad, especially coming from the background that with my issues of the OCD, with body image, with body images, that it's kind of like a disorder, really. To me, I just I brought that into that, which made me emotionally unstable, mentally like unstable, and just unstable in a lot of aspects. So yeah, that's what we bring into that as well. And not only that, it's really dangerous if we don't realize that we have this problem with issue and take care of it. The sooner we take care of it, the better, because if not, like I said, we bring it into our relationships, we bring it into our marriage. And unfortunately also, if we didn't take care of it, we also bring it into when we have kids. And like I said, like I had mentioned earlier, that if we don't confront our kids about our past mistakes and what we've done, or body images issues, or if we're alcoholics, or if we had all these addictions, they can go through the same thing, and we don't want them to do that. We want them to be aware of the mistakes that we made so they don't make those same mistakes. Like I said, I had to tell my kids about that because I didn't want them to suffer, especially since I have 3 girls. I didn't want them to suffer from body image problems as well. I really didn't, because every girl, despite her size, despite her skin color, despite what her hair looks like, her eyes are, you are beautiful. You're fearfully and wonderfully made, and God made you that way. God made all people to be beautiful. And I just wanted them to know that, and I just thank God that they do. So I know wholeheartedly that they won't go through those same things. Will they make mistakes? Yes, but not the same mistakes that I made. And I have God to thank for that. And so that being said, like I said, I'll go back to the OCD that I have struggled with since I was about 8 years old. Thank God that by his miraculous ways, that I don't suffer from with it as much. I can't say that it's 100% gone, but about 90% there, which is way better than it was before I had become a Christian. It had taken over my life, and it was like, at times I was like, is this even worth living? I mean, this has taken over my life, all these habits, these little things that I didn't know I can control at the time. I tried so hard to control, but like I said, in our own power, we don't have the power to do that. But with God, he can help us through that, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to pull us away from our addictions, our habits, and everything that keeps us from fully serving him and giving our lives to him. And so those of you who maybe doesn't know what OCD is, that's what I wrote down, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. And the risk factors are stress and child abuse. Those are 2 risk factors. I think for me it was stress. I didn't go through really child abuse. I thank God for that. But I did go through stress. Stress was a major part of my life. And it's a mental disorder. OCD is a mental disorder in which a person feels the need to perform certain routines repeatedly, which are called compulsions, or has certain thoughts. It's that's what I suffered with repeatedly, call obsessions. Mine were very toxic. So I actually kind of fell into this whole entire category, this whole paragraph. Um, I had the compulsions, and I had the toxic thoughts that I would repeat throughout the day repeatedly. You know, if I felt bad, I let that thought wander and think really horrible thoughts. You know, like mean thoughts. I mean, if somebody offended me, I might think something mean about them, and or I just thought like the worst of things, like the most horrible things I would think in my mind. And I so didn't want to, but my mind just took me there. And now I know now that we control our mind. You know, it's mind over matter. We control that. But at the time, I did not have the strength on my own to be able to do that. So I would just think horrible, horrible thoughts. You know, like the murder, like thoughts, things that you would see like in horror movies, or like just these like gruesome movies. I would think of that, and it was really horrible. Or the most negative thing you could think about, I was probably thinking about that. The worst of the worst. And yes, and I also had OCD to the point where I mean, I'm confessing this to you. Not even some of my closest friends knew this. So you guys, all that are watching this video, I'm telling you guys this like for the first time, because a lot of people don't even know this about me, and I'm willing to share this with you guys, so that, because I know there's people out there, and I know that some people feel embarrassed to share some of these things, and I was too. That's why I'm sharing with you now, because like I said, if it helps even one person, I feel like it was worth making this video and getting out of my comfort zone and sharing some of my deepest things with you guys. But since I was 8 years old, I don't know, I had a thing with like even numbers. So if I had something, it had to be like even, or if I separated something, it had to be in even numbers. If it was an odd number, it was just like, oh my gosh, you know, it couldn't be odd. Or even when I park, I have to be parked a certain way, you know, it can't be this way or it can't be that way. And can you imagine like living like this, you know? Or if I jumped, or if I walked, it had to be a certain amount of steps. Or if I jumped, it had to be a certain amount of jump. And it was just like, I don't know where this came from. This was as a child. Like this started like at 8 years old. And I think maybe this, now that I think about it, at this very moment, my dad and my mom divorced when I was about 8 or 9 years old too. So I don't know if that maybe had something to do with, and I picked up these habits or this stress at such a young age. So it could have been that. It could have been a number of factors. But yes, so it had to be even. And still now today, I have something with odd numbers. I don't know what it is, but I like even numbers. So, but it's not to that extent anymore. I'm fine if you only give me 3 cookies instead of 4 or 2. But like I said, this is with God. I'm just thankful that now that with God, I'm able to have control over that, because that was not fun. That was not an easy way to live a life. But it was very, very, now I look back at it and I'm like, which is why, I look back and I'm like, how I was able to function and with such the infunction and this dysfunction in my mind, that's completely God still. You know, I can say that it was God even though I hadn't given my life to Christ yet. Excuse me. I could still say that he was very, very much in my life, and that he was still watching over and with me and got me through this, through all my difficulties in life. But to that, going back to the OCD, here's some examples. Hand washing can be an OCD where people just continue, they have to wash their hands and have to wash their hands, you know, repeatedly. Counting of things, like I said, this one was me, you know, with the counting of things. I fell in this category. Checking to see if a door is locked. I think that's maybe where a lot of us, maybe even moms, might be a little OCD in that area. I just feel like I have to check the doors at nighttime before I go to bed. I might check the doors like 3 different times. And sometimes yes, it gets to me, but then like in the end, before I go back to check it again, I'm like, wait a minute, God has me. I already checked it. The first time I checked it, it was locked. The second time I checked it, it was locked. Before I go back a third time, I'm like, you know what, God's watching over us and protecting us. I'm pretty sure it's locked. So I fall into that category, and let me know if you guys fall into any of these categories as well. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys have any eating disorder, if you guys suffer from OCD, let me know. Let me know your guys' stories. Share some of them. If you guys can comment, after the video, if you guys can comment, below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear some of your guys' stories, and whatever you guys want to tell me. I'm here. If you guys need prayer, like I said, I'm here. So going back to the OCD, OCD is associated with tics. So it can be like even just like a tic, that you feel like you can't control. An anxiety disorder, I fall into this category as well. And I think after reading all this, I see where a lot of this came from with the OCD. I suffered from anxiety. And so that makes sense to me. And also there's an increased risk factor of suicide, which I can also see how that can be as well. You feel like this is taking over your life and you feel like you have no control. I mean, I was almost there, not to the extent of the suicide, but I can see of how it could take some people to suicide, because you feel like there's no hope. You feel like that this is taking over your life, that there's no way you're going to get out of it. And believe me, I know, because I suffered with it for many, many years, and I didn't think. I just thought that this is my life, I'm going to have to learn how to live with it. How to live with it. If it gets worse, it gets worse. I'm gonna have to learn how to live with it then too. But it had taken over to where it really affected me. It affected my mind. It affected my life. It was not an easy thing, and that's why when I gave my life to Christ, and when I seen how he was working in me piece by piece, working in my mind, I wanted to keep on that journey, because I wanted my mind so bad, wholeheartedly, to be renewed. I wanted to think good thoughts. I wanted to think positive. I wanted to think about the future and not so much linger on the past, because that wasn't getting me anywhere. So, and another thing was I just tried to hide it. I think I was able to hide it pretty well, because I don't think a lot of my friends knew, that I had an eating disorder. Maybe some did if they would see how much I ate for lunch. I think some of them probably might have thought maybe something like that was going on, or OCD. I don't think many of my friends, because I was able to hide it pretty well. I think whenever I took my mind off of it, or kept my mind busy, I wasn't so much focused on it, so it didn't really have much of an effect at that certain time or that moment. But it was when I wasn't doing anything, or I wasn't keeping busy, that's when my mind would start wandering off again, and here this OCD would kick in. That's why I try to keep my mind busy and stay functional, because I didn't want my mind to go there, because it wasn't a pretty place. And these are some of my favorite verses, these Bible verses that I found, and some of them that's really helped me out. This is the truth, this is from the Bible, and every word of God proves true. And this is what he says: do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And this is from Romans 12:2. So, like I was conformed to this world, not transformed yet. I just had the images and everything from the world. What the world was telling me, that's what I had in my mind. That you need to be this certain way. Okay, that's what I had in my mind. That you need to look this certain way. Okay, that's what it, and if you didn't, then you're like an outcast. You're an outcast. You don't fit in. And this is what kind of my mindset was. Or, I let my emotions get the best of me, and at that time, and it just wasn't a pretty place. I wasn't a nice, it was kind of awful, and my mind, it just felt was just like this trash, like this. If I could, kind of like a tree that wants to sprout, but there's so much toxicity, so much pollution that it can't fully grow to its potential or have the sweetest fruits because it's so polluted with all this junk and you're not watering it enough. So now I feel like this tree is growing and blooming beautiful because I don't have all these toxic polluted thoughts anymore. And now all these fruits and these sweet fruits can grow, and now I can share with you guys, because before I really probably wouldn't have thought to have made a video like this because I was struggling with my own things, and how can you give advice if you're not going to take your own advice, right? Just like how can you love others if you can't love yourself? But that's a whole nother story. But I also want to share with you guys from Philippians 4:8. This will help you. This is what God tells you to think about, so that you're not thinking about all the toxic thoughts and negative thoughts. This is what you need to replace those thoughts with. Finally, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good repute, if there is anything worthy of praise, think on these things. That's what we need to think of. Because God is everything good in this world. And the only way that we can overcome that, we all have negative thoughts sometimes, right? But the thing is to recognize that that's a negative thought and to reject it and to replace it with one of these things that's honorable, right, pure, lovely, good, anything that is praiseworthy. Think of this, replace it with this. And that's something that I'm still practicing. Like I said, it was a big struggle for me before, and it was very hard for me. But little by little, piece by piece, God has been working in me, transforming my mind. I do not think the way I used to. I thank God, and that's because I do not conform myself to this world, but by every word of God and what He says about me and what He says about you. What He says about me is the same truth that it is about you. And we practice this just transforming our minds and doing what is right. We can truly get to experience that freedom in our mind, and be able to handle things differently. Because before I was just anxious. I had so much junk in my mind that I was just so anxious all the time too, and couldn't really see any good. When there was so much good and positive around me, I couldn't see it. But now I can. God opened up my eyes to see a whole nother world, and I just thank Him for that. And also what helped big for me was to just start praying, to start reading and understanding the Bible so that I could live by His word. And I tell you now that when I'm in a struggle, when I'm starting to think negative thoughts, I hear this wonderful Bible verse comes to me. And before I couldn't do that because I didn't understand or read the Bible, but now He's able to help me. An encouraging Bible verse will come to my mind and help me and be the exact verse that I needed to hear to reject whatever it was that was coming through my mind, or a situation, or whatever it might be. So, and I just want to share also one more thing with you guys. I'm sorry, guys. I know this video is a little bit long today, but I just felt like there was so much that I needed to say to you guys and to go over. And I hope that you found this information very valuable. If you did, please share it with other people. Share it with as many people as you can, because I want other people to be aware of this too and to feel like you're not alone. So one more thing, guys. Our thoughts determine our destination. And this is a famous quote by Frank Outlaw. This is this is something that I had read in one of my devotions. It's very, very good information. And please, if you could just hear this. Number 1, watch your thoughts because they become your words. 2, watch your words, they become your actions. 3, watch your actions, they become habits. Number 4, watch your habits, they become character. And number 5, watch your character because it becomes your destiny. I just thank God, because if I wouldn't have changed my life around, if I wouldn't have given my life to Christ and started studying the Bible and learning so much about what I can do to, become spiritually better, mentally better, physically better, I would not probably even be in front of you guys right now. I wouldn't, because like I said, watch your character because it becomes your destiny. So where does it start? It all starts with our thoughts. And eventually it ends up as our character, which can affect our future. And we all have a purpose. And it's the most beautiful thing whenever you realize what your purpose is and that you do whatever it takes, you know, to fulfill that and to serve, you know, God in fulfilling your purpose. So I thank God that I do know what my purpose is. And one of my purposes is working with kids and being a teacher. And a few years ago, I didn't even realize that. A few years ago, I didn't even realize I wanted to even work with children. But since God has been working in my mind and working in my heart, you know, I can't see myself doing any other thing. I can't see myself being anything other than a teacher. And, you know, and someone who goes in front of you guys and just speaks to you. So I guess a speaker, encouraging speaker. So I just thank you guys all for listening, and just remember your thoughts are very powerful. It's the second most powerful. Your mind is the second most powerful thing, God being the first. So just remember that we have power over our minds. We have power over our thoughts. Satan doesn't want you to know that, and he doesn't want you to believe that, but it is true. You know, we have power over our mind over matter. So I just encourage you guys all to take this into consideration. You're not alone. I went through things, and I'll even be sharing more things that I've went through. But for this video, this is it. And I will see you guys very soon. Take care. And like I said before, please subscribe if you haven't already. Give a thumbs up, give a like. And if you could please comment, you know, anything that you're feeling, anything you went through. If you suffered from any of these things that I've talked about today or anything else, please let me know. Please share. And God bless you all. Take care. Bye, guys.